All right, let's talk about U.S. cybersecurity in 2026. Because this year, the digital battlefield is set for some massive changes. We're going to break down the 5 most critical issues that are really going to define the year for the federal government and, honestly, for the future of our national security.
So, what's the big picture for U.S. cybersecurity this year? Well, it's an incredibly high-stakes game where the threats are just evolving at a crazy pace. It's really putting the nation's defenses to the ultimate test.
And it's not just one thing. It's really a convergence of 3 huge forces. You've got new government policies, you have some intense political gridlock, and then you have the absolute explosion of artificial intelligence. Put them all together, and you get a perfect storm for America's cyber defenders.
Okay, first up on our list, the White House is rolling out a totally new national cyber strategy. And look, this isn't just a small refresh. We're talking about a fundamental shift toward a much more assertive, more proactive way of defending the country in cyberspace.
Just listen to the language coming from the National Cyber Director. Words like shaping behavior and introducing costs. That is a huge departure from the old, purely defensive mindset. The new playbook isn't just about building higher walls anymore. It's about making our adversaries think twice, making them actually pay a price for attacking in the first place. So, this whole new approach is built around a concept called active defense. Think of it this way. A passive defense is like having a lock on your front door. It's just sitting there. But an active defense, that's like having a security guard who's constantly patrolling, actively looking for trouble, and is ready to jump into action instantly. It's all about shrinking that window between when an intruder gets in and when you stop them cold.
But here's the thing. An active defense strategy is only as good as the people running it. And that brings us to a gigantic roadblock. This number you're looking at right now, it represents one of the single biggest vulnerabilities in our entire national security setup.
Yep, that's over 500,000, as in 500,000, unfilled cybersecurity jobs right here in the U.S. You just can't run an active defense if you don't have the defenders. This talent gap is a massive weak spot. And that's exactly why a huge part of this new strategy is a national push to get the government, private industry, and schools all on the same page to finally start filling these critical roles.
Now for our second point, and it's probably the biggest game changer on this list, artificial intelligence. You know, in the world of cybersecurity, AI is this incredibly powerful double-edged sword. It can be a terrifying weapon and an amazing shield, all at the same time.
So policymakers are basically trying to fight a war on 3 fronts when it comes to AI. First, how do we make sure our own AI systems are secure? Second, how do we defend ourselves against attackers who are using AI to launch way more sophisticated attacks? And third, how can we harness AI for ourselves as a powerful tool for our own cyber defense? And this quote from former NSA leader Morgan Adamski just nails the potential on the defense side. She calls AI a force multiplier. So what does that mean? It means AI can automate threat detection, it can speed up investigations. Basically, it helps out the human security teams who are frankly completely swamped by the sheer number of attacks coming at them every single day. Okay, number 3 takes us from the world of high tech to the world of politics. There is a really important law, one that forms the backbone of how the government and private companies share threat information. And right now, it's pretty much on life support and about to expire.
The law in question is the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015, or CISA 2015. Now, that's not to be confused with the agency CISA. This law is the legal framework that lets, say, a bank share all the details of a new cyber attack with the government without getting sued. That intelligence then gets shared out to help protect everyone else. It's crucial.
But getting it reauthorized has hit a major political wall. The House, they passed a bill for a 10-year extension with some much-needed modern updates. The Senate, though, it's a different story. They're totally divided. Some senators want a simple extension, but others are blocking it completely over concerns about privacy and government overreach.
And the clock is seriously ticking. After a short-term patch, the whole thing is set to expire for good on January 30th. This puts a ton of pressure on a divided Congress to figure something out before this vital tool for sharing threat info just disappears.
All right, let's pivot to our 4th big issue. We're talking about a landmark federal regulation that is about to completely change the rules for how and when cyber attacks get reported across the entire country.
And for this one, we're starting with another huge number, 316,000. And believe me, this isn't just a random statistic. It represents a fundamental change in how the government is going to get a window into cyber attacks happening nationwide.
That's how many organizations in our most critical sectors, we're talking energy, finance, healthcare, you name it, will soon be legally required to report major cyber incidents to the government. It's all part of a new law called CERCIA, and it is, without a doubt, the most far-reaching cyber regulation in U.S. history.
So here's the deal. If a company in one of those critical sectors gets hit by a significant incident, they have just 72 hours to report it to the Federal Cybersecurity Agency, CISA. But the debate over what actually counts as significant has been really intense. A lot of industry groups have argued the definition is just way too broad. And all that pushback is exactly why the final rule got delayed until May.
And that brings us to our fifth and final point, and this is a big one. At the exact moment that all these other challenges are boiling over, the nation is facing a major leadership void at the very top of its cyber defense structure. I mean, just look at these gaps. CISA, the agency that's supposed to be defending all our civilian infrastructure, doesn't have a Senate-confirmed director. The person leading both the NSA and U.S. Cyber Command, a massively important role, is also just an acting leader. And if that wasn't enough, one of the most important people on cyber policy in Congress, Senator Gary Peters, is retiring.
Look, this isn't just about names on an org chart. This leadership vacuum creates profound uncertainty. How are you supposed to roll out a bold new national strategy, navigate a huge legislative fight, or implement sweeping new rules when the key jobs are filled with temporary leaders? It makes it so much harder to steer the ship, right when the storm is gathering.
So let's wrap this up. We've got this new, more aggressive strategy on paper. But in reality, a vital information sharing law is about to die, a huge new reporting rule is stuck in limbo, and some of the most important leadership posts are empty. All of this really leads to one final pressing question. With everything that's going on, is the U.S. actually ready for what's coming next?